Now you're welcome back. We're going to head to Galway. Johnny Ward is there. He's been at the Galway Races. Hello.
Yeah, hello. It's been great fun. Just kind of mingling today, doing a bit of socials for off the ball and just meeting the people. And Galway's just, it's as John B. Keane says, Joe, it's a state of mind. People just come out here and they love the race and they love having a bit of a party. And we had a very good local winner today in the big race. So it's been a great day.
State of mind being one thing. What's the state of the weather been like?
The weather's actually grand. I went for a cycle this morning in Dublin and it was really, really wet weather. But the forecast for Galway wasn't too bad. And we've had this sustained spell of really wet weather in Ireland for the last, the wettest July on record. And weirdly enough, Joe, the Galway racecourse, and I was in Ballinrobe last week, they've dealt with it so well that now it wasn't even an issue. It was still sort of goodish ground, good to yielding ground. And it actually was a lovely day in Galway. The sun kind of was briefly out for a time and didn't dampen the enthusiasm of everyone, and it just looked like everyone was having good times. I spoke to a cousin of mine who said to me he's been going racing 65 years, tipped up the winner in the plate, and the beauty of Galway is coming back to meet people that you meet maybe once a year. And my cousin said to me, it was quite touching. He said, I meet people here and I meet people every year. Some of them have now passed away, and he still had that affection to back the winner of the Galway plate. And it's been a great day.
So you mentioned the Galway plate there, young jockey to the fore. Tell us about that, Johnny.
Yeah, this has been, for me, the story of the day, really. Danny Gilligan. So Danny's dad, Paul, trains in Crockwell, which is kind of hurling country, and his dad would have hurled away for Crockwell as well. And Danny sort of came on the scene over a little bit of time. He was riding on the flat, but this season, I think I'm just looking at him here, his stats, 15 winners from 66 rides, and he's been kind of, I suppose, Gordon Elliott has probably taken him under his wing in the sense like he did with Jack Kennedy, thinking this guy was very good. And I have to say, I didn't take that much notice of Danny until I started working a bit for Racing TV this summer, and I was doing some of the summer circuit. And he's a 7-pound claimer. So what that means, Joe, is that he can claim 7 pounds off the weight of the horse because he's kind of starting off. And I was just thinking, this kid is so good. And just coming up to Galway, maybe 6 weeks ago, he got quite a bad injury, and he was nursed back just to come in for the Galway Festival. Had a winner on the Monday night, and then he's entrusted with riding, a 13-2 shot in the Galway plate. And he's so cool, and we've seen it so many times, Joe, with the good minors or the good underage footballers. They're good, but it gets to their mind, and they don't really fulfill their potential, and you don't really get that sense with him. He's from a racing family. I think his parents have been very good with him, and he rode this race so well. Went out in front. The horse wasn't really straightforward, but he essentially rode it like it was just a maiden hurdle in Gilligan or anywhere else. And Ashley Meadow won quite well at 13-2, but for a guy that was so cool, it was quite touching as well to see him kind of vaguely sort of showing a bit of emotion when he came in. I spoke to his dad, and what this would mean, as much as Galway's a festival for everyone wants a winner in Galway, what this would mean for the Gilligans is something else. Yes.
I suppose if you're talking Galway, you have to talk Dermot Weld. It's just this extraordinary relationship. You can give us the details on what happened today, but just in broad terms, the Weld-Galway thing, talk to us about that over the years.
Yeah, and it's been strange with Dermot as well. Dermot didn't have a runner in the 2-year-old maiden this year, which was a race that he absolutely farmed. And, Dermot is, he's getting on. There are Curra trainers, himself and John Ox retired. Kevin Prendergast is in his 90s now. Dermot isn't in his 90s, but he's getting on. And you have these young trainers coming up, and Dermot always farmed Galway. And it was lovely to see him winning the big race yesterday. He had Curdor winning the big race. He subsequently had a double with Livio Milo. I suppose the fact that he didn't have a runner in that 2-year-old maiden was quite telling. And I don't know, I'd be quite nostalgic. It was lovely to see Dermot having these 2 winners on day 2, and he sort of made Galway for me. I remember working for the Tuam Herald, and Jim Carney said to me, will you do a with Dermot Weld. I think he was in college at the time. And it's funny, the same day in college, John Horgan had written a book on Noel Brown. And John Horgan was marking my thesis, and he came and gave me a presentation of his book on Noel Brown. And it was lovely to see Noel Brown's the documentary on him during the week, and really brought me back to that time. And I had to think of when I interviewed Dermot Weld, and I was so nervous, like as somebody from Galway, to interview Dermot Weld, because he farmed Galway, and he was like 100 to 1 on to win like the top trainer every year. And then as Galway became so much more sort of classy and competitive, Willie Mullins came in, Gordon Ellie came in, and Dermot didn't have that kind of hold that he still had. But to see him like not having the same sort of strike rate as he has had in the years gone by, to have like a double on day 2 is quite remarkable. It's I don't know, it's for me it's very nostalgic to see him striking high in Galway.
Yeah, he's still doing it. So in terms of the quality of racing at Galway, Johnny, I mean, traditionally, and there's a degree of ignorance in this statement, there's a sense that the Galway Festival is more about going there, the enjoyment, and the racing is secondary. Now, I dare say, if you have horses winning those races or things like the Galway Plate, you might not like that statement. That'd be the perception. What's your sense of the quality of racing? Like, do we see future stars at Galway, or how would you sell it in terms of what attracts you to a Galway festival?
Well, I'm from Galway, so like I came here, and I remember my first year here, like probably having a few bets that I shouldn't have had with the tote, as one does, and maybe got my cousin to put on a few quid here, like a couple of euro, and just falling in love with the place. And there's no festival like it, Joe, in the sense that you come here and you don't know who you're going to meet, and you know there's the Galway buzz itself, but the quality from when I was a kid going to Galway, when I was, I suppose, started going when I was maybe 12 or 13 to now, it's become way more competitive. So in the Galway Plate today, like Hewick was bidding to win it for 2 years running. He was running off 167, like that's essentially an average Gold Cup winner, and he was the top weight in the Galway Plate. And like I spoke to Jack Hanlon before the race, and he was very, very nervous, like having a runner in the Galway Plate. And Hewick was bought for less than £1,000, and that isn't the case at all with jumps racing now. So he's a total anomaly. And the 2-year-old maiden that Dermot used to farm, like now you have really good horse running it. Like Aidan O'Brien will run horse in it, Ger Lyons run horse in it. You'll have all the top yards, and Galway's standard has gone really, really high. And I suppose the other thing is you have mixed cards. You have jumps and flat horses running the same card, and everyone has something for them. And there was really good buzz around the place today as well. And you know, I spoke to Willie Mullins for was it the second last race, and he had a fairly hot favourite. He was quite annoyed that he hadn't had more winners in Galway, and it means something for everyone. And for Gordon Elliott to provide young Danny with his a winner of the Galway Plate, that will go down in history. And I actually spoke to Gordon last week, and Gordon is very traditional. He'd be like, well, how would we win at Punchestown and Ferry House in winter? But this would have meant an awful lot to him, what Gordon has come from. And probably the last time I was talking to you on this show about Gordon was, a long time ago when he had difficulties. Yeah. And I think this means an awful lot to him, that he's he can go out now maybe and have a beer and Galway tonight. He's the toast of Galway, and he's come from that difficult situation he was in. And funny enough, Danny Gilligan will probably go home tonight with his dad Paul and just have a cup of tea and just chill out, because I guess that's what he is like.
Yeah, I mean 17, it's quite something. The new breed of teenagers who are popping up here and there and winning these races, are we headed for another golden generation, do you think, Johnny, or far too early to tell?
Like in terms of national hunt jockeys, I do think Danny is standalone, but like I've been here so many times and I've spoken about Nathan Collins or Evan Ferguson and spoken about these kids, and the older you get, the more mistakes I make in terms of building them up.
Yes,
and you know what I mean. It's kind of like when I see Evan Ferguson, I predict like the world for him, but then reality hits and you're playing the Premier League. With Danny Gilligan, it's kind of like that, but at the same time, I think when like you had retirements, Joe, of like Ruby Walsh, Barry Geraghty, Davy Russell, Paul Carberry, Robbie Power, all around, give or take a few years. So you had this kind of, I suppose, this chasm for some jockey to step into. You have Paul Townend now and the likes of Mark Walsh, but you have probably a gap for this young jockey to come up. And I remember when Jack Kennedy, who's been like ridden with injuries, said I think 5 broken legs already in his early 20s. Jack's first ride for Gordon was on a hot favourite at 16 years of age, and Jack was the next big thing, and Danny's the next big thing now, but I'm going to be wrong again and say he is the next big thing.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. And I saw John Kiley was there with JP McManus as well. So
John Kiley is the next big thing at what, 85, 86, you know, and it's lovely to see that. And like even JP here today, like JP has it's interesting tomorrow because he has a reserve that's gotten in the hurdle, a third reserve, which is quite unusual. So JP loves winners in Galway, and Glan, who I hope is named after Glen and Maddie, where my mother is from, gets in his third reserve. JP has gotten the winner of the plate before getting in as a reserve, so maybe he'll have a nice day in Galway tomorrow as well.
Okay, very good. Well, I think crowds were good, 30,000, up 2,000 on last year, 2 days in. So we'll say enjoy it and take it easy. And listen, you home to bed for a cup of tea as well, I hope.
I'm already in bed, Joe. Good
man. Johnny Ward from Galway. Thanks very much, Johnny. Appreciate it. And Off the Buzz Galway race coverage brought to you by Toad Ireland, proud sponsors of the Galway races for the 14th consecutive year. And if you are gambling, do gamble responsibly. You can visit gamblingcare.ie. Back in 1 second.